Marbles aren't the worst thing to swallow.
I don't know. I feel like you need to get your stomach pumped for that shit.
I don't got that money.
Nobody does.
You gotta pass them, and that's not gonna feel good either.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 2001 Adult Swim animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I am obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
My name is Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies, Season 1, Episode 11, titled Mortgages and Marbles. Original air date September 30th, 2001 on Adult Swim. Written by Brendan Small and Bill Bradis and cast. Synopsis for this one, another short, sweet, one-sentence synopsis. You love to see it. Coach McGurk has trouble getting a mortgage, while Brendan makes an educational film for children. That's it.
Hell yeah.
That was the episode.
Yep.
Yeah. So knowing this episode is called Mortgages and Marbles. I mean, that's basically the A-B storyline here.
I'm liking the fact that you're not telling me the episode title beforehand, because I think afterwards there's like that satisfaction. I'm like, oh, that was the episode.
Yeah.
Aha moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Titles are great.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, cool. Before we get into this episode, let's get into a little thing we call the Creative Corner, which is, of course, something you're consuming, producing, anything in the creative realm you would like to bring to light. Who would like to go first? I will. I don't care.
Then go ahead.
Okay, here I go. I'm going to do a video game this time. I did a video game, it was like a few creative corners ago, and it was Fallout 76. And I loved it because it's a game that when it came out, it really sucked. And now it's good. And my creative corner video game that I will recommend is another game that when it came out, it sucked. And now it's good. And it's a little game by the name of No Man's Sky. Have you played it?
I bought it on launch day and then got a refund.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jack was pissed when it first
A lot of
came
people
out.
were.
I was part of a friend group at the time that were so hyped for the game. We were all so hyped for the game. My friend Ed, he also loves No Man's Sky now. So how has it gotten better?
Oh, by I think 22 major free updates that come out fairly regularly. One came out not too long ago as to when we're recording this, and I guarantee by the time we drop this episode, they probably have another one coming out.
Yeah.
It's just, they made it so much better. I, too, bought it at launch. I, too, was very disappointed. The best analogy I heard for that game at launch was as vast as the ocean and as deep as a puddle. The premise was there, procedurally generated planets. You know, they all have their own weather system, animals, plants, all that stuff. But very quickly at launch, you realize it's all the same stuff, basically. There was no variety. Since then, the launch, I believe, was...
I think it was 2016.
Yeah, I'm not completely positive. Yeah, you know what? Fallout 76 was 2018? Yep, No Man's Sky was 2016. I do remember that. Because when it came out, it was a PS4 exclusive. Now it's for everything, and unless you're playing on Switch, it's cross-platform. So Xbox, PC, PlayStation, they can all play together.
Yeah. You and I played for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful game.
It is very beautiful.
And it looked beautiful on launch, too. The only thing I didn't like was that they were liars.
Yes. They did lie about, they said, there's 18 trillion planets. You're never going to run into another player. So, of course, like gamers do, within the first 36 hours, two players were like, hey, I think we're on the same planet. And they were both streaming. And they coordinated exactly where they were, and they went together, and they could not see each other. Meaning when this game launched, there actually was not online. When asked if there was online, they said, yes, there is online. But honestly, the game is so vast, the odds of you running into someone else is you're more likely to win the lottery 100 times in a row.
Oh.
It was one of those things. But yeah, people realized, no, it's not online. So eventually they did release online. It's, like I said, cross-platform. They have an online hub where you can meet up with other players. So not only did they finally introduce actual good online to the game, they incorporated it into the story that actually made it like kind of make sense. So I will give it when the game came out and there was nonstop criticism about it. The guy who essentially created the game in the studio, Sean Murray, he told all of his workers, he had like 22 workers at the time. He's like, deactivate social medias. He's like, let me take care of this. He made a folder and literally read every single complaint everyone had. You promised online, this base building sucks. This part sucks. You said this was going to happen. It doesn't. And he made a list. And like the more people complained about it, the higher it was on the list. And then he just started, okay, let's go. And he started making updates, fixes. He had a patch out within the first like 3 months that fixed like a lot of the issues people had with the game. And it was just a matter of like some people stuck with it, some people didn't. But inevitably what happens is a big update comes out. The game now on Steam is reviewed overwhelmingly positive. The game comes out and you'll get a handful of people like, wait, I thought this game sucked. Yeah. And then everyone's like, yeah, it did. But now it's fucking awesome, dude.
I like when an artist sees that this thing that they promised isn't going to pass and they just wanting to fix it. Like hearing that is like, let me look at everything people are complaining about and go like buy the biggest and actually just try to make this a good game. Especially because I remember the studio was not very big that was making this huge game.
Very small studio, Hello Games. There's a YouTube documentary about the whole process. It was Sony. It was Sony that backed this studio, and that's why it was a PlayStation exclusive. Mm-hmm. And they had hard dates, and you got to have this by this, and da-da-da. Of course, they wanted to implement all this stuff at launch, but when you're like, hey, this is going to take 6 months to implement all this stuff, and Sony's like, cool, you have 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. You know what the main thing is to blame here?
Capitalism.
You're correct.
Nice.
Ding, ding, ding.
3 cheers for Adele's knowledge.
All right, who's got the next creative corner?
I'll go. So I'm going to do music again for the second week in a row because I like music. I feel like a lot of my creative corners are going to be music. So buckle up. This one I'm going to do... well, it's Billie Eilish.
Why are you saying it like it's a bad thing? Billie Eilish is great.
I fucking adore Billie Eilish. I just feel like it's very like, it's nothing new. I've loved Billie Eilish for years. I think her and her brother are very, very fucking talented. And this newer album that they came out with, it's like they reached into my soul and made music with it. And it's like, it's so beautifully done. And in the past, she has been criticized for being like too whispery, too light. And in this album, she belts her fucking ass off, and it is amazing. Mm-hmm. If anybody wants any song recommendations, I'd recommend The Greatest, because it is one of my favorites.
Because it is the greatest.
It is the greatest.
See,
God.
I have such a jealousy. Well, first off, I'm not going to make any excuses for Billie Eilish. Like, a lot of people who make it big in the industry are Nepo babies. That's just kind of how it is. But I really like the relationship that she has with her brother, because they like grew up making bedroom pop, basically in the bedroom making songs together. Yeah, she had some like connections. That's how you get in the industry. But like, so good though.
Absolutely. And to bring back, like, her and her brother are best friends. If you ask her who her best friend is, every single time she's like, my brother. And it's just so wholesome.
Yeah, I'm so jealous of it.
Yeah.
My thing with Billie Eilish, something that, like, being a filmmaker, something I really, really loved was the Barbie movie.
Oh, yes.
When Greta Gerwig basically was just telling, like, Billie Eilish, like, it's Barbie's hope song. And then Billie Eilish went away and came back and sent, like, that such beautiful song that made Greta Gerwig's idea and this whole theme of Barbie just come to life. It really made the movie what it was supposed to be, and that's hard to do.
Right. It helps shape the overall storyline, and if you go back and watch the Barbie movie, you can hear the same tune of What Was I Made For throughout the whole movie. There is the scene where Margot Robbie goes to, what's the woman's name? Danny DeVito's wife.
Oh, Rhea Perlman.
When she finds her in her house,
Ruth.
When you hear the birds in the background, and they are chirping the same tune of this. It's just, that movie could be a whole other creative corner for me. Like, I loved the Barbie movie.
Oh,
If
same.
we ever have a Patreon, we'll do a breakdown of the Barbie movie.
Oh,
Absolutely.
dude.
Oh my god, it was a masterpiece.
Can we just do that without, like, we don't even have to record it. I love it.
Yeah, dude.
That was
Let's
like,
record it just in case.
It's funny because the songs that she doesn't like the most end up being her most popular songs. Like, off of this new album, Birds of a Feather, which is actually it's a love song and it's very well done, but she hates that song because she wrote it about an ex that she no longer has feelings for, and she never finished it, and then she had to go back and finish it in order to finish the album. And yeah, I know way too much about her.
I was going to say you, but you already went first.
I did.
If there's some musicians out there, again, I'm also doing music. I want to press something.
Nice.
Local musics, like there's people out there who are just as brilliant and just as talented as Billie Eilish,
Amen.
Chappell Roan,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, and they're blowing up because they got great music. Like, I'm not going to bring them down whatsoever. I love Chappell Roan. Casual's one of my favorite songs by her. God, but just you look around anywhere for music, talented people, and you'll find them. They're everywhere. And one of the talented people I found on TikTok, I really love her music. Her name is Marika. I only know how to pronounce her first name. I'm not even going to take a crack at her last name. It's Liebe. I don't know if that's anything, because I originally thought her name was Mary Kay, but I asked her, what is it, Marika? She did this EP called Rabbit's Foot in 2023, and I love that EP. So it's so beautiful. I love the cover of it. It's so beautiful. And
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, and the songs on it are so emotional and amazing. I reached out to her when I first heard Bones on the Rabbit's Foot, and I asked her if I could use that in Doorman because I think it was perfect. And she was like, yes, absolutely. And I bought her EP on Bandcamp, and she sent it back, and she signed it for me, and it was so nice.
Sweet.
I asked her specifically if she could sign it because I really wanted her to sign it, and she's so sweet. But something I love about this is that any money that she gets from like her EP sale, it goes directly to Palestine. Like,
Oh my god.
goes right.
Oh, that just gave me chills.
Yeah, she just a wonderful human being. She's out in Phoenix, Arizona right now, doing a lot of like festivals and trying to raise money for musicians and local artists around there. Wonderfully talented person, and I'm so happy and grateful that she decided to let me use her song. And she just dropped a bunch of merch. Everything else has been going, like from Rabbit's Foot, has been going to Palestine and stuff like that. The merch is the only stuff that she's accepting as far as getting money for herself because everyone is broke right now. Her merch is so good. I really like it, and she just dropped it. I love her music so much. She just dropped a new single today, Little White Feather. She just released. It's such a good song, and she had a song that actually just went viral on TikTok, What Are You Praying For, specifically because of what's going on in Gaza, and just a wonderful, talented person. If anyone wants to listen to her, please go check her out on Spotify and Bandcamp. MARIKELIEBE on Spotify, Bandcamp, everywhere. Just really love her music.
Nice.
Now, is she a specific genre, or is she kind of do her own thing?
Kind of does her own thing. It's very like, I can't even describe it because it's acoustic, but like there's a lot of different like ambience. One of the songs is just instrumental, and it's really just about a mood. It's very moody, very
Love
very
that.
nice.
We love a good mood.
Yeah.
Well, if that's going to do it for the Creative Corner, I think we're ready to jump into this episode. What do you say, gang?
Let's do it.
Heck yeah. This episode also had commentary. I mentioned last episode it had commentary, but they were like going off on literally like 8-9 minute tangents and doing bits and shit. I think they got scolded after that. My theory is maybe they got in trouble because the next episode had commentary, and it was I have like 2 pages of notes from the commentary. My handwriting sucks, and it's very largely written. But still, I guess some of the things I want to bring up now. One, they did mention that when they were on UPN for the first 5 and how they were essentially retro-scripted, that UPN was super hands-off because they never really had a a script to show them. So UPN was fairly hands-off. They said pretty much everything except the dog. Can't kill a dog on primetime television. That's the rule. They also spoke very endearingly about Khaki Jones. If you remember, Khaki Jones was the one who saw home movies on UPN and then was helped to make the first Adult Swim block and recommended home movies.
She was the one that was in charge of like all those other shows.
Like every single banger
Yeah.
from your childhood. They said it was between Khaki Jones and a meeting with Mary Catherine Tucker, who was involved with home movies, that made home movies come back. And then they really, they spoke so lovingly of Khaki, and they're like, we would not be where we are today without her. And then, of course, H. John Benjamin was like, I'm fine. You guys. So,
Of course.
yeah, I thought that was really funny. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, everything else I'll bring up when we get there. This actually makes a lot of sense. Brendan Small went to Berkeley. Like, that's how involved in music he is. He went to Berkeley for music.
Dang.
Yeah.
Charles Berkeley?
Yes, Charles Berkeley, the basketball school for playing instruments. No, Berkeley, like the college for musicians and other artists.
Honest, right now is the first time I've ever heard of Berkeley.
Really?
I've never heard of Berkeley.
Wow.
I've heard of Juilliard, but like
She went to Juilliard.
And then lastly, I will say this entire episode was essentially an excuse to get Jonathan Katz and H. John Benjamin together because they did Dr. Katz. They interacted a lot, and people wanted to see that. You know, they were both on the show. Screw it. So this episode was basically just an excuse to get them together again. Good stuff.
to get who together?
That would be Jonathan Katz, who plays Eric.
That's
Melissa's
okay.
dad.
I didn't know that he was playing Eric. I was like, oh, I keep forgetting that he does. Oh, damn.
Jonathan Katz played Mr. Katz. H. John Benjamin, I believe, played his son. So they interacted a lot in the show together.
That explains. They had some chemistry. I was really into them.
Yeah, and they even joke like, "Yeah, we got them together for that sweet magic." And throughout the entire episode during the commentary, H. John Benjamin was like, "Yeah, here's that magic you were looking for, huh?" He is so much. The entire episode is like about putting marbles up your nose. He's like, I put a few things up my nose if you know. And they're like, so
It's those free smells from Jimmy John's.
Exactly. So this episode, Mortgages and Marbles, we open up and we're at the Small residence. Now they say in the commentary that the implication is Paula is hungover. That's why she is still in bed. She is like telling him to keep it down. I got a very like Saturday, Sunday morning vibe from this first scene. You know what I mean?
I was wondering if it was like 2 a.m. because I was like, why is she in bed?
Oh no! It's like it's morning time. You know, Brendan and Josie are awake.
Yeah, I've never had a hangover, so I don't know how it feels.
I thought she was taking a midday nap. My mom did that all the time.
I
Was she
personally,
No, depressed.
Yeah.
yes.
Maybe I need to get one of those.
hungover on emotions.
Yes.
No, the vibe that I got because they're kids, it's like a Saturday morning. You know, when a fucking kid wakes up on a Saturday morning at like 6 a.m. and you're just like, no, kid, this is when I sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But I gotta play and watch Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right?
Saturday morning cartoon.
Cereal.
So that was kind of the vibe I was picking out. Brendan's hanging out with his sister Josie. He's filming her, and he doesn't explicitly say so, but yeah, like I said, I get the vibe. It's like a Saturday morning. Brendan's not in school. Paula, seems to be sleeping in, but again, it was implied in the commentary that she's hungover. You do see her drinking wine a couple of times. Brendan's trying to get Josie to talk so he can film it. He starts by asking if she could say Brendan. As he's saying this, Josie is like grabbing his nose and like smashing a marble into the pointy end of his nose, like kind of foreshadowing where this whole episode is going to go.
I remember at one point when he started filming Josie and was like, can you say Brendan? I just heard you say me and Jack.
Yeah. Him filming me and me not knowing what's going on.
And I love it too because Brendan is like, can you say Brendan? Brendan, like he's like yeah.
I could feel myself getting annoyed by him the louder he got.
And then she pokes him with the marbles. She's like, oh, you like marbles? Could you say marbles? Marbles. So Paula is yelling to keep it down, and he's like, okay, sorry. And she's like, thank you. He's like, don't mention it. Fucking like little kid shit.
Oh.
Very Charlie Brown, the way that he was looking up screaming.
Yeah. He's adjusting his focus, and as he's doing that, he films Josie sticking the marbles in her nose. So he immediately freaks out, yelling for his mom. Again, tired of him being so loud, she's like, I'm not going to respond until you lower your voice. And then he's like,
Then she gets up and comes to the room.
Did you guys ever put stuff up your nose?
Yeah, all the time.
Raisin.
And marbles.
I say we have marbles. So
Legitimately.
I feel like marbles.
100, especially like, what? It's the same size.
It
Look at
feels so
that.
cold and nice.
I think that, when The Simpsons was kind of okay, there was a very famous episode where Homer, I think he sticks a crayon in his nose and it makes him smart, or when he takes it out, it makes him dumb. It was something like that. But
I remember I put this out in second grade. I had a spitball, and I don't know why I did it, but I put it in my ear, and I couldn't get it out. And I just decided, well, that's my life now. It lives there.
oof.
And it's still in there.
You know, well, 3 days later, my mom was looking at my ears, and she's like, "What the fuck is in? Look, everybody, come look at what's in this guy's ear." I was like, "No, not my ear."
Why was she looking in your ear?
She liked to pop my pimples. I don't know.
Same.
Yeah, see, we've all been there.
Yeah.
So the next scene, we're at the hospital. The doctor's showing an x-ray of Josie with the marbles in her nose, saying she's fine, probably just more scared than anything. Having marbles in her nose forces her to breathe out of her mouth, which most kids do anyway. The doctor is actually voiced by Bill Broadus, one of the main writer.
Oh.
Movies. So
He was the one I drew today.
really,
Yeah,
the doctor?
Yeah, I drew the doctor.
Nice.
He was not on screen for very long.
No, not at all.
So I'm glad I got what I got.
So it's even funny too, because the visual gag of him being like, yeah, she was just scared, she couldn't breathe, had to breathe out of her mouth, and then immediately puts the marbles on the table right in front of Josie. Right. So Brendan makes a comment about how he didn't do a very good job of watching Josie, but Paul assures him that he reacted quickly, and that's what was good. He points out that Josie might be a little crazy. Josie looks immediately at the marbles as soon as they're put on the table. So Paula says Josie can't help it. She's a baby.
I mean, look at the colors of those marbles. They look like perfect nose candy. So colorful.
And honestly, probably better in the nose than in the mouth. If she swallowed those or got them stuck in her throat, that'd be way worse.
If they got stuck in the throat.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you swallow them... marbles aren't the worst thing to swallow.
I don't know. I feel like you need to get your stomach pumped for that shit.
I don't got that money.
Nobody does.
You gotta pass them, and that's not gonna feel good either.
I'm sure it'll be
know.
fine.
I'm gonna do an experiment.
I mean, anal beads are just kind of like marbles, but like in a row.
Yeah. A train of marbles.
Paula points out that she just doesn't know any better because nobody has taught her any better. So at this point, Paula points out, as her big brother, maybe you should be the one teaching her these things. And Brendan agrees. It should be easy, and asks what the first thing he should teach her. And Paula replies, maybe don't stick marbles in your nose.
Since you guys are both big brothers, did you ever try and be like, I'm going to teach my younger sibling something?
Yes. He doesn't like me anymore.
Oh no!
I mean, it's fine. I wasn't the best big brother because we've had many conversations of that. I did feel like I need to nurture my brother and teach him things, but the thing is, I didn't know anything, so I was just like, time to teach him the ways of the world. Climb this tree.
Climb this tree. Skin those knees. Did you ever try to teach Amy anything?
Probably
Comedy.
not. No.
Just how to
Oh God,
smoke
no!
weed.
I don't have to teach her that shit.
You taught her how to smoke weed?
Oh, the weed, yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But now she works at the dispo, so she teaches me you're a little grumpy. Smoke this particular strand, and I'm like, okay.
She's like, big brother, what's a spliff?
No, never. The first time Amy ever saw me smoking weed, she yelled, "I'm so disappointed," and then ran away.
Cut to today.
Yeah, cut to today. She's like, "I'm so disappointed in you that you didn't share this weed with me."
Cut to today when you bought weed off of her.
I'm
Not
literally...
to put a timestamp.
Don't timestamp it. Shit, now people are going to line up the day that I bought weed off Amy. Brendan agrees with her that, that's what I'll teach her. But he insists, you know what? It's going to be an educational video because it's Brendan Small, and that's what he's doing. At this point, we see Josie take the marbles off the table, stick them right back in her nose. The doctor calls for the nurse as Paula and Brendan both slap their hands to their face.
Slapstick. That's funny.
Foreshadowing.
The next scene, we're at the soccer game, and Coach is telling the kids to look alive. This is when Melissa's dad, Eric, is standing off to the side, and Coach yells at Melissa, "Yeah, listen to Coach. Melissa, look lively." Their dialogue is so funny, because Coach is like, "Yeah, are you Melissa's dad?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Ernest?" And he's like, "Eric."
My favorite part of this scene was when He was like, yep, that's my little ray of sunshine. And then McGurk is like, Melissa, you
idiot. Yeah.
My sunshine daisy.
Yeah. I love Eric. Eric is the supportive dad that we all need.
Yeah, agreed. And he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yes.
Well, and especially this next part where Coach is like, yeah, Melissa's mom must be quite the looker there. And Eric is like, yeah, she's dead.
And McGurk doesn't care. He's like,
No,
okay,
he's like, well, when she was alive, and then he said, okay, she's not dead. She ran off with another man. And McGurk is like, so how long are they doing it behind your back?
That part fucking got to me because Eric was sitting there like, oh, hold on a second. I don't want to think about that.
So many times he's like, can we talk about something else? And then finally when he's like, what do you think they're doing right now? I don't know if you caught it, but Eric's like, well, it's 8 hours later where they are. So he's like, they probably like ran off to like some freaking tropical whatever somewhere.
And he's very aware of where she is.
And he's doing, okay, so it's 8 hours away.
That's wild.
That's
Did we ever meet Melissa's mom?
Let's not look. Let's not know.
I want to know.
She is not. She's not ever seen in the show.
Oh,
Okay.
well, shit.
Sorry.
Well, she's too busy getting that tropical dick.
Yep.
The way that McGurk's animated with like the hands, like, you know, how long were they doing it behind your back?
He's one of those dudes.
He really is.
Eric, for a third time, asks if they can change the subject. So Coach finally asks him, were you in the laundry business? And he's like, no, I'm in the real estate. So Coach says, you're rich. He's like, no, I'm Eric. He's like, Ernest. He's like, no, I'm being earnest when I say I'm Eric. Their banter is just, it's so good. So when Coach finds out he's in real estate, he's like, yeah, it's a seller's market. And then Coach is like, well, I might be looking for a little upgrade myself. He's like, that's great. It's a buyer's market.
Just so quick on the draw.
Eric encourages him to come to the office and they can talk. And Coach is like, well, what about right now? And Eric is like, well, there's a soccer game going on right now. Well, nope, not anymore. Coach blows the whistle and says, canceled lightning. I think he says go back to class.
He says run inside as quickly as you can.
Well, he does tell the kids to go back to class, which is weird because you would assume the soccer game takes place after
School.
Well, he's technically a teacher. Teaches soccer.
He does teach soccer.
Well, he teaches two sports. And
Soccer, right?
and the other one is soccer.
Soccer, yep.
So we jump right from there. We're now in Eric's office. And Coach McGurk is going through some options. McGurk really seems to be, he likes his condo with pool and mailboxes with keys and the whole nine. And Eric tells him, okay, well, let's get pre-approved and then we can start looking. So they start with the paperwork and he starts asking Coach very simple questions about his income. Coach immediately is like, can I lie? And Eric is like, you can exaggerate, but you got to be like in the realm. You know, most people use their gross income instead of their income like taxed or whatever. And so he starts asking him, do you have any savings? And Coach is like, yep, 2 million. And Eric's like, do you have a line of credit? And he's like, yep, 2 million. And he does ask, he's like, you got paperwork to back all this up? He's like, yeah, I'm making it up right now.
I don't know how you guys felt this entire episode, but as people in this generation, watching this guy try to buy a home in 2000 and still struggling.
Yeah. I'm just glad they didn't say any, like, definite prices of anything, because I think we would have been...
Oh, no. They did.
They did?
Well, not a definite price, but later on, they do throw a number out, and I was like... Wouldn't that be nice?
They throw a number out. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And McGurk just throws a number. He asked Lynch, like, kind of, like, let me borrow.
Yeah.
So Eric is laughing nervously, probably realizing kind of what he got himself into.
Mm-hmm.
So the next scene, we're with Brendan, and he's at Mr. Lynch's desk. Mr. Lynch accuses Brendan of daydreaming, and Brendan's like, yeah. And he's like, I knew it. Teaching for 18 years, I can always tell when a student is daydreaming.
That'd probably drive me up a wall if I was a teacher. The thing is, I would daydream all the time. I was not in that class.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're a kid. Of course you're going to daydream. I do the same thing, yeah. I'm daydreaming right now.
What you daydreaming about?
Doing a podcast with you guys.
Oh, I'm starring in High School Musical.
Who are you playing?
Soren!
Gabriella.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
So Brendan tells him he would like to learn to communicate better with kids. And Mr. Lynch points out, well, you are a kid. And he specifies no younger kids. And Brendan says he wants to make an educational film. And Mr. Lynch seems pretty amused, saying he's gotten bitten by the teaching bug. He was about your age when he was bit himself. So Brendan says he doesn't want to teach. He wants to make a film that teaches, specifically for his little sister because she's like a sponge. And Mr. Lynch is like, yeah, something like Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers. And Brendan's like, no, closer to like Gattaca.
I don't know why that made me laugh. So when he said Gattaca, I did have a hearty laugh after
Because
that.
that's not a movie you would assume a 7-year-old would be like, that's the movie we need to... Gattaca's about, like, gene splicing and, like, yeah, shit like that. It is not...
It's kind of like eugenics a little bit, where you can, if you could decide what your child's genes would be like before they were born.
It's funny, too, because there's an episode later. He brings up another movie, which is absolutely bonkers for a 7-8-year-old to even be aware of. Gattaca is out there, but we're going to go further. So Mr. Lynch makes a comment about bright colors and music works for any age, except for the Paleolithic age. Huh? Huh?
He was pretty funny.
This was an attempt at a joke. When it seems Brendan does not get it, Mr. Lynch comments, humor is a good way to teach. And Brendan replies very dryly, then why don't you use it?
Got him.
And then Mr. Lynch was like, wait, what was that? What was that?
Then why don't you use it?
And then they laugh, and it was fun. Anytime we're in that fucking classroom, every time, it's just like in the background, the posters are so distracting because it's just veggies good.
Veggies good.
And then I saw that fucking we love beta carotene sign again. I still don't know what it means. I think it's baby carrots, but whatever.
It had a picture of a carrot on it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then he was talking about slapstick.
Yeah.
Slapstick's
So
great.
Brendan cuts to the chase and tells Mr. Lynch he wants some extra credit for the project. And luckily, Mr. Lynch comments that in his 18 years of teaching, he can always tell when a student is asking to make an educational film for extra credit. So that's good. He's got both those in his back pocket. Mr. Lynch does comment, though, he doesn't want this movie to glorify violence, especially because he's going to be showing it to the, younger students. And Brendan asks about slapstick. Mr. Lynch hits him with the, watch this. Now watch this. Yeah. So that's them just recording the audio and being like, all right, what are they going to... Hey, watch this.
Nice.
So next we're in the teacher's lounge, and Mr. McGurk is apparently trying to fax something. He is having issues, though. So Mr. Lynch approaches and asks if he needs any help, and in the process of helping, Mr. Lynch realizes he's filling out a mortgage application. So McGurk admits, yeah, I'm looking for a condo, and Lynch asks him, okay, yeah, cool, 15-year or 30? And McGurk has genuinely no idea what he's talking.
I had no idea what he was talking about.
The fact that you could be paying off a mortgage for as long as I've been alive, sorry to timestamp things, is fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Yep.
We could just build a house.
Do you know how much my parents paid for the house they live in right now?
There it is. How much?
I've told you.
$6,000.
No, come on.
$11.
Oh, come on. $160,000 for a 3-bedroom basement home.
Yeah.
In 1985.
They could probably sell it now for what, 300?
Oh, easy, especially because they've put extensions on it since then.
Yeah.
What if
We go back in time and buy a house?
We buy up all the land.
we flood the market?
With what money?
I didn't say we're flooding the market with money. We're flooding the market with
water. And then buying the houses at discounted rates. Guys, we did it. We did it.
We'll just get all the flood damaged homes. Perfect.
Mr. Lynch does break the news to McGurk that this is a loan and you're going to have to pay it back. And the line that came from McGurk was, "I'm not taking out a loan. I'm doing a mortgage."
I'm doing a mortgage.
Lynch just laughs at him, tells him good luck.
See, that was me. The second that happens, I'm out of this conversation. Oh, good luck. Out of here.
So he does mention that McGurk's like stepping in front of him, and he's like trying to tell him like, hey, I don't like you, but I'm having a housewarming party. You're going to be invited. And Mr. Lynch continuously tries to get away before McGurk finally tells him like, hey, could I borrow $25,000?
See, that was the one that hit me.
That's probably the down payment for the mortgage.
Yeah.
That's not going to be what he's getting the house for.
Fine. That's
In
fine.
2001? No.
Yeah.
That's still a nice chunk of money.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
today's, that's $7 million.
Oh, man, my life would be changed if I had $25,000.
My life would be changed if someone handed me $5.
$5?
I'm buying another monster right now.
Hell yeah, you could get 2 for 5.
That's true.
Smart.
In this economy,
Work smarter, not harder, kids.
Absolutely.
we could flood the market with monster.
Smart. There is a scene real quick. I think it's the one where Lynch walks in. In the commentary, Brendan makes a comment where they linger on the open doorway for a couple seconds, and he's like, linger on a doorway? Save on animation. It's like, I thought that was kind of funny. So now we cut to Brendan, Jason, Melissa, and they're filming their educational program. Brendan is taking the role of the puppet, Spiky. Melissa appears to be playing essentially a version of herself. She's wearing a shirt that says Melissa, but it has a picture of Spiky on it.
Confusing.
Okay. Spiky asked Melissa for a hug.
This part was weird.
Yes.
I put Spiky bad touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does
And
not understand the word no.
she reluctantly agrees, and then the Spiky the puppet, like, Brendan, like, rubs the puppet all over Melissa's face, and she's like, Spiky, stop. It's weird. I don't like it.
Spiky, no spiking. Spiky, no spiking.
So she pushes him off, and then he
didn't
hits
get the
her
third
with
one.
the, hey, Melissa, watch this. But this watch this is he sticks marbles in his nose. And Melissa tells him, that's not funny. And he's like, yes, it is. And she's like, okay, it is a little funny. But it's also very dangerous, and it may require a doctor. So that's when Jason shows up as the paper bag puppet, Dr. Teachum, and tells him it's dangerous to put marbles in your nose because you can't breathe. Then we cut to like a behind-the-scenes shot of Brendan and Jason as the puppeteers. And Jason is just casually like talking to Brendan. And he's like, hey, can we cut? And Brendan's even like, no, we're rolling. Like, we're just rolling. And then he's like, Jason is like, Brendan, why can't you stick marbles in your nose? And Brendan's like, because it's dangerous, Jason. And Jason is like, have you ever tried to eat with your nose?
Yeah.
It's
Because it's connected to your mouth, you see.
connected to the back of the throat. And Melissa is like, gross. And then even grosser, Jason's like, yeah, one time I tried to eat with my eye.
Gross, dude.
Yeah.
That whole disgusting thing reminded me of a trend from not the old internet, but the older internet. Where do you know the condom challenge?
Describe it, because I think we might be thinking of two different things.
That one has
Using
to
a
do
condom.
with the nose and
Yeah, where
mouth being
they-
connected.
Yes.
And you...
You would breathe it in.
They'd
And
snort the condom. They'd snort. I didn't do this because I'm smart, but they'd snort the condom and then pull it out through their mouth.
All right, guys, this next scene we're with McGurk and Eric, and they're checking out one of the condos. And there's a few things here I learned in the commentary, and the last thing might blow your mind, okay? So on their balcony that overlooks the pool, the women at the pool, one was modeled after like Liza Minnelli, and I think another one was modeled after like Anna Nicole Smith. Just like kind
I
of
didn't even
famous, beautiful women at the time.
Yeah.
So they're on the balcony. Immediately, McGurk is impressed by all the pretty women. Awkwardly yelling down him, he's going to do a cannonball. He asks Eric how many floors up they are, and Eric says 11 floors up and down. And then he yells at the ladies, forget the cannonball. We get a quick shot of the ladies at the pool, and they just could not be bothered. They do not care. Coach even points out that they seem to be ignoring him. Coach has his heart set on this condo. He wants this. Eric expresses, hey, we need to keep our options open considering we haven't heard back from the bank yet. Coach just ignores him and says that he will live in this condo. He expresses how much of a status symbol it would be to live in a place like this. He even tells him, he turns around and says, hey, say goodbye to the old McGurk. Eric, say goodbye.
goodbye.
Says goodbye. Turns around, say hello to the new McGurk. And Eric asks him, how do I know the difference? Coach is like, well, for one, I turned around. For two, I'm going to be living in this condo. I'm going to be a homeowner. Maybe grow a mustache.
And then he like pulled on Eric's mustache.
Yeah. So in the commentary, Brendan Small makes a comment about this condo being located in Miami, Florida.
Oh.
He just straight out says that condo is in Miami, Florida.
Wait.
Did
brain
we?
blast. Brain blast.
I think
brain blast.
yes, I think we called it. Did
yeah,
we?
because
There was a license
yes,
plate.
that was like the Florida. It said
It was
Florida
like
on it.
126FL.
Yeah.
And we're like, is that Florida?
Yeah, but there are no palm trees. That's why we're like, it can't be Florida. There's
Right.
no palm trees.
But there were palm trees.
Didn't want to animate palm trees.
That's true.
Fuck.
There were palm trees at the condo, weren't there?
There might have been.
Jinx? Maybe it's more like middle Florida. Maybe there's not as many palm trees like mid Florida.
That could be it.
Because every time I've been to Florida, it's like near the ocean coastline.
That's true. I've been to Florida when I was 4.
You probably don't want to go there.
Not anymore.
Not to timestamp things.
But it kind of sucks there.
Yeah.
The only reason I'd go to Florida is to hang out with Critical, and I don't think he wants to hang out with me, so I'm not going to Florida.
But yeah, found this out last night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to keep this under my hat for an entire day.
Wow.
Immediately, the next scene, Coach McGurk calls Eric on the phone, and he asks him if he heard anything from the bank, and Eric says no. And Coach, he says, we're on tight shots of the coach on the phone, and then he was hoping he'd hear something by the end of the day because he moved out. We get that shot from further back, and he's in a pub, and he's just got like a little dolly. It's like a garbage bag, a fish, some random stuff.
This part gave me a lot of anxiety. Just like, oh no, this is a situation now.
Well, Eric is a little taken aback, and he's like, why would you do such a thing? Coach said, well, he hated that place. He hated his landlady, so he mooned her.
Showed him my big fat ass is what he said.
Yeah.
And then she said you can stay for free.
Eric expresses some concern at the hasty decision to move out, saying he might be left without a place. Essentially saying that you haven't heard back from the loan, and if things fall through. And Coach is like, what do you mean? What do you mean if they fall through? And Eric tells him, you don't want to move out before you have a place to move in. And Coach is like, but I did. And Eric is like, well, you don't want to do basically what you just did.
Like the urge to do something to your landlord. Because like as someone who hates his landlord, I got that. I hated her. I hated that place. But then at the same time, Girk, what are you doing?
Right. Seriously. So again, Eric is taken aback by what Coach does and tells him sometimes it takes months to close a sale. And Coach realizes it might have been a premature move, and Eric he agrees and suggests that maybe you pick up a sorry I mooned you card.
Where can you find those?
I don't know.
The next scene, it appears that Coach is staying with Eric and Melissa. I think we're going to play that scene right now.
Yes, please.
Aren't you guys eating? It's great.
You're eating ours.
No, well, it's great. Sergeant Schultz is hilarious. Oh, man. He's funny.
Dad,
Yes.
can I go over to the Smalls to watch TV?
No.
Yes.
Dad,
Listen to your mother.
I love that.
I can't take this.
Isn't this a school night?
Dad,
No, you can go. There's no reason why you can't.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, you
Yes.
can't. I don't want you hanging out with that kid, Brendan.
Coach, you're undermining my authority as a parent.
yeah.
That's the downside. The plus side is I think I love you.
Smooch.
See, I really love them together. I was hoping that this will now be a permanent thing of them living.
Shipping.
Yeah.
Shipping them.
Yeah. So it's essentially the same scene. Melissa is on the phone with Brendan and just talking about how awful it is. And she's like, and he smells, Brendan. So Brendan is showing some sympathy, but ultimately tells her his hands are tied. Coach then yells for Melissa that he just used her toothbrush. Melissa is very grossed out. And she's like, Brendan, what should I do? And Brendan's like, you got to let him keep the toothbrush.
You guys live together. Have you ever used each other's toothbrush?
No.
And we have our own
We have
toothbrushes.
his and her.
I mean, yeah.
Coach now gets on the phone and asks Melissa if he can use her apricot shower wash. So Brendan makes a joke. The call is coming from inside the house. He's even like using the puppet to talk into the phone, which I thought was funny.
I was going to ask you about this specific thing because we don't have to deal with this anymore. This is a very of its time situation of the phone in the household that anyone could just pick it up while you're on the call and just not say anything.
Oh, that's so wild. When I watched this episode for the first time, I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That era of life, the anxiety of knowing somebody could be picking it up and listening to me.
And I think we've seen something similar to this before. And I want to say the very first episode when Coach goes on a date with Paula. And Paula and Coach are talking. And then Brendan is like, should I have hung up by now?
Yeah.
So Coach realizes it's Brendan on the phone and asks Melissa again about the body wash. And Brendan quickly gets off the phone. And Coach comments, that was Kurt, and asked if they got into a fight or something. His towel does fall off the ground, and they censor his little butt crack there.
I do have a moment. They censored that, right? But there was a moment in the UPN 5 where they showed someone mooning.
The art of the sucker punch. He's outside filming him kind of training, and the guy who keeps yelling, "You stink and you're going to lose," hangs his butt out.
Yeah, and they don't censor it.
No.
Interesting.
Well,
So maybe they wanted to on
Adult Swim is a
McGurk.
family-friendly
Yeah.
channel.
Well, maybe it's a difference between that was kind of like a butt hanging out. You know what I mean? Like a little, think like of a W versus like McGurk's just like ass, like straight. You know what I mean? It was like a straight on ass shot.
I think they were both straight up shots,
Well, the
but
first one was a little boy, and he's a grown man, so there might have been some hangage that they didn't want to have to animate.
So another thing about the scene too, during the commentary when they brought it up, they mentioned that around season 3, Coach loses his tattoos.
Excuse me?
the Chiquita
Yeah.
banana?
The Chiquita banana and the cow from that
From the
cheese that
he
I
likes.
like.
Oh, gee,
Yeah.
that's tough.
I believe I know the episode. I don't want to say exactly which, but I think I know the episode. But yeah, they say that at one point, and they even joke. They're like, "It's not that we forgot to animate him. He went and got surgery." Then yeah, but yeah, they
How can he afford it?
Right. The
Exactly.
thing that takes multiple sessions to get rid of. Okay.
yeah right.
Yeah. And
So-
in 2001?
So we're still at Eric and Melissa's house. Coach walks in on Eric meditating.
Hell yeah. We love a meditating
Yeah.
king.
Coach is like, "What the hell are you doing, Eric? Get up." And Eric's like, "I'm meditating." And he's like, "I thought that was something women do." And I like this, and because Eric says, "Well, I'm doing it boys style."
What is doing it boy style?
I think he's just playing on the fact that McGurk is like, "I thought that's something only women do," and he's like, "Well, I'm doing it boys style." And he even says like, "This is my warrior pose." Coach asks him why, and Eric tells him it's relaxing. So Eric encourages him to try it as well, and Coach is very much like, "I don't think I can sit like that." He finally gets him to do it. He gets him to sit down, and he tells him to take deep breath in, breathe out, and in the process, McGurk farts. Like that's the whole joke.
He's
Eric-
doing it boy style.
Yeah.
I think I might have just ignored that part. I think I didn't remember that. I blanked on it.
It was like a weirdly quiet fart, and then Eric just makes a face, and then that's the end of the scene. So,
All right. Good job.
so then another scene still at Eric's house. Now, Melissa is talking to her dad and asking how much longer they have to deal with Coach. And if you were to just look around the room at like the scattered mess and everything about, you would assume that Coach has been there a few days, maybe even like a week. And Eric picks up a sock and he's like, "Well, he's only been here 4 hours." At that point, McGurk screams to Eric and asks if he has a plunger. And they both make a very disgusted face as water starts coming out of the bathroom door.
No wonder his landlord hates him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to advocate for landlords, but like understandable if this is the type of stuff that he is pulling at home.
We're at the school. It appears Brendan is about to show his educational film to a group of kids in a younger class. And he tells them that he's willing to hear their feedback to a point, but he is sensitive about his work.
He says,
So,
I'd like your feedback, but don't overdo it because I'm sensitive.
yeah,
And I wrote, same.
yeah. He even tells them some of you probably wouldn't like it, you know, if I made fun of your sweater, right? Or your haircut or your lisp. Pointing to like different kids each time. Now they do mention in the commentary, I don't know if you guys saw it, there's a little kid sitting in the front who looks just like Charlie Brown. Like he's got kind of the same color, the same head. And
I did
they
notice
even
that.
say like, yeah, that's basically like Charlie Brown sitting.
Yeah.
God.
In the orange.
Yep.
Yeah,
right
there he is.
So front and center right there. Lynch encourages Brendan to just go ahead and get the film started. They do that funny thing where every time Lynch tries to talk, Brendan talks, and they just like 5-6 times in a row just talk over each other. And so Brendan finally plays it. In the film, Smikey puts the marbles in his nose. Melissa explains you shouldn't do that. Dr. Teachum, played by Jason, explains, you know, why it's bad to put marbles in your nose. And then at one point, Jason is like, this has got to be the dumbest.
This is the worst film we've ever done.
Yeah.
It's like, Jason, try to enjoy these things.
Yeah. So then it goes from Jason kind of not really having much faith in the project to probably the most badass song ever written about not putting marbles in your nose.
Do it.
Immediately, kids have marbles in their nose.
They're putting marbles in their nose in the movie.
So tell me, at what point did you get the urge to stick marbles into your nose?
When Spiky told me not to.
Relatable.
Yep. And that's how the DARE program worked.
Exactly, dude.
I didn't know about drugs until you told me.
Yeah.
Brendan, I'm sorry. I know you were counting on me and stuff, but I had to find out for myself. And I'll tell you something. It was great.
I love Dwayne.
Honestly, I was looking around for marbles. I was like, you know what? I actually have an urge to put marbles up my nose right now.
Fresh out. We just put the last two in my nose. That's why I'm so
And then it just like bang the back of your head and they go poof, poof.
Yep.
That DARE analogy, though, I think that sums it up perfectly.
Absolutely.
It's like, when did you want to try drugs? Oh, when they told me not to.
You did DARE?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They changed it after a while. They turned it into great.
Oh, see, I actually did one. It was an offshoot of DARE. It wasn't the whole class. It was only a select few. And it was called like Vega. And it was like Violence, Education, Gang Awareness.
How many gangs were you aware of?
2. And one was red and one was blue. And that's a rhyme.
And that was the cops.
Yeah.
See,
Whoop, whoop.
they changed DARE to great because in their minds, DARE was like they're daring you to do
Yep.
drugs.
I was just about to say that.
And then they changed it to great, which meant it was great to do drugs.
Yeah.
Goofy.
There's an old, anti-drug, I think David Sitko has talked about it, but I remember watching it as a kid, where it was like Alvin and the Chipmunks and Muppet Babies and Alf, and they all came together to tell our youth to not do drugs.
I remember that.
Do you? Oh my god, it
Yeah,
was
see-
burned into my brain.
I don't remember that, but I had live action Ninja Turtles movie
Oh,
when I was a kid. And then they had basically like a concert. They went on tour with a concert that used the analogy of like mutating as like doing drugs. So they're like, hey kids, you don't have to mutate. And we're like, but you guys are mutated and you're the Ninja Turtles. I'm going to be just like you.
Fucking dope. What are you talking
It
about?
worked for you guys.
But I had that cassette tape in a Walkman. And so if I heard those songs right now, it would like trigger in my brain like us going on road trips and shit. And listen.
Do you guys remember McGruff?
The Crime Dog?
Crime Dog.
Hell yeah. So
Yeah.
in the commentary, Brendan mentions David St. Angelo helped a lot with especially the Don't Stick Marbles in Your Nose song. And especially any musicians. It's got such a weird time signature because it's like the Don't Stick Marbles in Your Nose. Put them in there. Do not put them in there. You know what I mean?
It's like subliminally actually telling them
Yeah.
to put them in there,
Smoke.
yeah.
So David St. Angelo helped with the music for that. His name comes up. I believe he helps with all the music from Metalocalypse too. That name looks really familiar because Metalocalypse, Brendan Small's project after this. So
Wait, that was Brennan went on to do Metalocalypse?
yeah,
Oh, God.
that's why I mentioned that because that was like a possibility to do that one afterwards. Brendan and Metalocalypse. Eventually, Lauren did Bob's Burgers. So the next scene, we are at a attic apartment. Eric is showing to Coach, probably try to get some more realistic options in a more realistic price range. Coach talks about how crappy and hot the apartment is. Eric calls it a fixer-upper, and Coach calls it a piece of crapper. Eric takes him to another place, claims a coat of paint should fix most things, including the windows. It'll really look like it's got a coat of paint on it. He starts laughing and then openly admits it's not a good sign if your realtor is laughing.
Mm-hmm. I wrote about this part. Eric is showing McGurk future $1 million homes.
Yeah. So the third location actually looks pretty nice on the outside. And Coach is like, okay, what's wrong? And Eric's like, there was a small kitchen fire, so there might be a little work on the inside. Well, they open the front door. It does that cartoon thing where the door just completely falls off the hinges.
Mm-hmm.
Coach even asks him, like, do you check this place before you bring people here? Not only is it really bad inside, there appears to be somebody squatting in there.
Yeah.
Good.
Appears to be. Yeah, good indeed. So the next scene, we're back at Mr. Lynch's desk. There are marbles just scattered all over the desk. Mr. Lynch says he doesn't see the educational value in the movie and is not willing to give Brendan extra credit. Brendan pushes back and claims that there is educational value and that he put a lot of work into it. But Mr. Lynch kind of reminds him that not only did it not teach kids to put marbles in their nose, but he spent the entire afternoon removing marbles from kids' noses. He's even like, look at my hands, Brendan. He starts to give Brendan advice on like how to make a proper educational film, and Brendan's like, you know what, forget it. And he just gives up. He does ask Mr. Lynch what he plans on doing with all the marbles that he removed. And Mr. Lynch is like, I'm going to donate. I'm definitely not going to put them in my nose if that's what you're thinking.
He's pulling at his collar, too.
Yeah. And Brendan doesn't believe him. And he's like, okay, well, then you wouldn't care if I took them. Now would you?
And he's like,
and Mr. Lynch is like, go ahead.
Leave too.
So now we're on a phone call with Eric. Coach is thanking him for speaking to his landlady and getting him back into his old apartment. Eric says, no problem, but, kind of apologizes for the increase in rent. And Coach is like, don't worry about it. I'm not going to pay her anyway. So,
didn't he say it was 3 times, like tripled it?
Yeah, when he's got the new lease with Lynch in the next scene.
Oh, okay.
Did we see the number? No.
No, I don't think we're ever given a concrete number, just that it was tripled.
I'm just trying to think about what an apartment like in those days would have cost.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a decent 1-bedroom apartment that went from like $500 to $1,500. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something like that we're like that.
That's actually not bad anymore.
Yeah. So Eric tries to get off the phone multiple times with John, and McGurk comments about how much fun they had. Eric says, okay, well, if you ever want to do that again, I can help you out. And Coach is like, how about next week? Eric agrees.
They're friends.
I did write that down. I was like, McGurk and Eric should be friends.
Yeah. They love each other.
They do.
So we have another scene, and this mirrors the one earlier in the episode where Coach is trying to fax something. Like, mirrors it to the point where I'm pretty sure they reused a lot of the animation.
Yeah.
If it works.
Yeah. No judgment here. Mr. Lynch is walking up to help, and he's like, oh, looking to buy some more houses? And Coach is like, yeah, I'm looking to buy a couple more houses. And Lynch even comments, oh, the market must be good. And Coach is like, yeah, it's so good. I'm about to buy the market. Okay, Lynch? And that's when Lynch kind of picks up on the sarcasm there. So he tries to help McGurk with the fax, and he looks at the paper, and he comments like how expensive the rent is. And Coach mentions, yeah, the landlady took him back, but she also tripled the rent. Lynch mentions there are laws about that kind of stuff. And McGurk's like, so? And Lynch is like, well, maybe you can use the law, in your favor. And as they're having this conversation, we see a marble fall onto the floor.
Oh.
And it cuts down to his feet.
Mr. Lynch acts surprised, even commenting like, wow, how did that marble get in my hand? McGurk asks him why he's carrying around marbles, and Lynch is like, I gotta go.
Lynch knows when to dip.
Yeah. So the final scene, we're at the small residence. Paula is drinking wine and eating a bowl of popcorn. They're watching the video of Jason getting the marble removed from his nose, which was at the end of the educational film. Brendan points out that they were at a hospital. Tries to get Josie to say hospital. Hospital. So Paula comments that they should just watch the video. And the video shows 3 marbles, and Brendan notices that Josie is putting her blocks in a numerical order. Her blocks say 1, 2, 3. And he's like, she's learning.
She's learning something from me. She's smart.
And Paula's like, oh, she's learning, so am I. And it pans over to Paula. She's got 2 marbles in her nose.
What a goofy gal.
And you know what? It made me want to put marbles up my nose. It looks so fun. She looks so fun.
Oh, she was having a blast. Brendan makes a comment. Maybe we should cork the wine. And Paula makes a comment. Well, maybe a glass of wine a day is actually good for you.
Yeah, I'm not 6. I said that, not Brendan.
And I always say that.
Brendan uses Spiky to call Paula a lunatic. And then Paula says, Brendan, can you say... And then shoots him in the forehead with a marble. Hits him directly in the face and yells, bullseye.
They shot out at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a fun mom.
She is a fun mom.
Yeah.
We could hang out.
Yeah.
Wine
We could
drunk
get
shooting
let's get
nose
drunk.
marbles at her kid.
I've never gotten wine drunk. I think wine tastes terrible.
Yeah, it's gross.
But I think alcohol also tastes terrible.
All right, gang. We got to grade this episode.
Yes,
what
we
do. You
do.
say?
Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I think automatically when there's a Dwayne song in it, I'm immediately love it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it an A-.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what it was about this episode. I thought it was fun. There was not a lot of depth, and it was just a lot of like jokes, and I loved that. But it didn't really hook me like the last episode or other episodes. So, but it's still a good episode. Like McGurk and Eric are really fun, and it was weird having back-to-back McGurk episodes where it was just like all about McGurk, especially when you told me that he wasn't even supposed to be in the whole show.
Right.
Yeah, these are not only 2 McGurk heavy episodes, but they're 2 McGurk like making very questionable decision episodes.
I feel like that he does that constantly.
Yeah.
Tim just nodded his head solemnly at me.
He's staying on brand.
That's right.
Altogether, I think it was a good episode. I got to give it a B-.
Okay, that's fair.
I believe for my grade, I agree with Adele. I'm going to give it an A-. It's a very good episode. The song is very catchy.
Yeah.
Definitely in the top 5 of my favorite songs all time in home movie. So I like that. I like the episode. Probably not one of my like top favorite episodes. I mean, we're still in season 1. We're close to the end of season 1, actually. So I think this is when it really starts taking off. So yeah, I think an A- is fair for this episode.
Yeah.
I did not expect the Dwayne song. It really did come out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, okay, hell yeah.
Fucking hits, dude. It's so good.
Yeah.
We love Dwayne.
And then even like Brendan was saying in the commentary, just the time signature of it is so weird. So to get it down and just to make it so catchy like that.
I like the visuals in the
Yeah.
too.
It was essentially like a little like kind of 30-second music video.
Yeah.
And it played on a lot of different music videos. There was a slow motion kick in the background from Dwayne. And,
Yeah,
you know,
the
like
marbles dropping out of the girl's mouth, and just the light flashing, and it was really good.
Yeah.
I think that part really came out of nowhere, and it really actually bumped the episode up for me. Obviously,
Right.
like a Dwayne song is really good. I don't think it saved it, but that's why it's a B-. It's like it was a good episode.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. And then do you have a grade for Jason
I-
or anyone else?
It's hard to give McGurk a grade. Like last episode, he really deserved to be analyzed a little bit. Here, I feel like he was just being a little silly. So I didn't really give him a grade, but I did give Jason a grade.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he arrived, as soon as his puppet hand and started talking, I was like, oh no, what is he going to say? I ate with my eye. I was like, of course. But he said something that I really resonated with, which is to truly be human, you have to keep exploring.
Yeah.
And I was
yeah. I wrote that quote down, but I don't think I mentioned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be truly human is to constantly explore.
yeah. And so, you know what? I was like, that's got to pull him up.
Hell yeah.
I was going to give him a B. And then when he sucked the marble in his nose, I had to do it, Brendan. I had to figure it out. It wasn't something he did. This was clearly the animators when they pulled the marble out, and then there's just a rocket of snot. And they didn't do that with anybody else. It wasn't anybody else. They didn't do it with his mom. They didn't do it with the dozen kids. They didn't do it with Mr. Lynch. Nobody. It was just him.
He's got excess.
Yeah, so I gave him a C for stop.
A C for see with your eyes. Don't
Yes.
eat with them.
Yes.
Good call. Good call. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Who's got them plugs and things they want to promote? Adele, why don't you go first?
I have an Instagram, and it is called Artisanal of Oddity. That is Art is Anal of Oddity. And then I also have a TikTok, which is Elida Alora 1111, ELEDA. And then it's a ALORA 1111.
Make a wish. I got a bunch of plugs as usual. My plugs are a bunch of podcasts that I've also done. Puzzle Valley, which I already finished. It's a miniseries from my podcast, Eldritch Journeys. It's a high school teen detective story. I put a lot of work into it. I love it so much. Put my heart and soul into it. And I'm also working on the sequel, Puzzle Valley 2000, which is set in the year 2000. It's like a prequel. Adele, you are a part of it. And
It's true.
and we're having a great time doing it. Soundtrack is already on its way. I've got a lot of work to do with that. I'm also working on Season of the Curse 2 with my YouTube brother in arms, Punkin Nonstop, who has a YouTube channel as well, Punkin Nonstop. He's got thousands of videos on there, so go check him out. That is not hyperbolic at all. And we're working on Season of the Curse 2, which is a really, really fun project that everyone in this room is working on, Tim and Adele.
Hell yeah.
That will be coming together soon. I'm actually hoping to have it done by the finale of this podcast, because I think that would coincide with Season of the Curse 2, which is an homage to home movies and is itself a home movie, so I think it would fit just right in. And I'm also working on another feature film called The Doorman, which I've been working on since 2016. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so I'm working slowly but surely. I think that... Oh, I just dropped the Eldritch Journeys trailer I've been sitting on for a while, so I'll put that in the show notes as well. The Eldritch Journeys trailer's on my channel, Splat House Ideas.
Nice.
And that's all my plugs.
Hell yeah.
Nice. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate our audio equipment so we could keep this podcast going. So we'd like to give them a nice little plug at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central Time on Twitch. You can find them on YouTube and audio versions wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 1, Episode 12, Law and Border. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at Linktree/RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Thanks to Tom Traeger for the refresh of our logo and Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-hosts, Marcin and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.